In your opinion, do you think that humanity is going to have to be reset again, or are we going to be able to
I think
overtake that?
this is, I think, our reset. This 3 decade period is our reset. I think, like he says, there are other versions of Earth, there are other parallel reality versions of Earth, and some people may go in the direction of being on those versions of Earth that do require more resetting. But I think the opportunity is that for people who are willing to truly get in touch with who they are, be their true selves, be of service to humanity by acting on their passion in positive ways, I think this is the reset for them, and probably the only reset that humanity of that ilk will require to really start evolving in the direction they need to in a more positive way. But there are those who may need more resets, but they'll go and shift to other versions of Earth simultaneously, and we simply won't experience them anymore. And they won't experience those that choose to go in a different direction.
When you say this whole idea of the shifting, you mentioned this in another conversation of ours where every decision you're making is kind of shifting you into a new reality.
Mhm.
That you and I both have in my reality there's a Darryl Anka, in your reality there's an Alex Ferrari, and not that we're in each other's lives every day, but we exist in that world.
Right,
You could pick up a phone and call. Now,
right.
how does it work? Now, how does it work if you and I'm assuming you and I are shifting in similar directions because we're still talking to each other.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
how does it, so let's say and I'm being played devil's advocate here. In
Yeah,
high
yeah.
school, I had a best friend. I
Hmm.
haven't spoken to that guy in 35 years, whatever it is now. 40 years. I haven't spoken 42 years,
Right.
whatever it is, 40 years. I haven't spoken to this guy. Um, but he exists. He
Maybe.
does. I mean, I could pick up the call. I mean, I know
Yeah.
people who know him.
Yeah.
So
Fine.
I could pick up the phone.
I'm not saying that the reason you might lose touch with somebody is always because they shift to a parallel reality. There are
Right?
there are different reasons for losing touch with
Oh,
someone,
of course. Of
still
course.
having them available to you in your reality. So you
Hmm.
can still be on similar enough wavelengths that you're still shifting to the same kind of reality that you can still reach out and connect to each other. But maybe somebody just needed to take this path and you took that path, and then maybe, you'll come back together or not. But I'm talking about the kind of shift where that person truly leaves your reality. There's just no way to even find them anymore. They're gone. Whether or not they actually physically died, whether or
Hmm.
not they have simply shifted into a reality that you cannot reach because you're not vibrationally compatible with them anymore. Now, again, the caveat is that for a while, we may still, even if we're shifting off like this, we may still be able to reconnect. But what we're saying is the shifts are getting farther and farther and farther apart. So reconnecting may take more doing, more intention, whereas down here it takes very little because you're still close together. But the farther apart you go, there will be a time, if you're truly shifting into different realities, where this may not exist anymore, where you simply will not know, where did they go? I can't find them. I have no resource to find them. There is no way they're accessible to me anymore. Now, again, that doesn't necessarily mean that they've shifted out of the same kind of reality you're in. There may be a purpose for not having contact with them. But on some examples, it will be because they are shifting to a completely vibrationally incompatible version of Earth. And it's simply not vibrationally possible for you to really make a connection to them and stay in the reality you prefer because they're in such a different vibration. So right now, what we're trying to do and what Bashar is telling us to do is, look, I've explained how this works. I've explained the splitting prism. I've explained all this shifting. This is your final time to try and make those connections again. This is why it's important for everyone to start talking to one another, no matter how polarized and divisive you are, to see if there is any chance you can find a common third reality in which you can actually both come together and create something positive for all of these people who have differing opinions, and start looking at the fundamental reasons why you've been polarized. So he's saying now is the opportunity to come back together, talk to each other, create a reality where you can move forward together. That's a different reality than the one you thought you wanted, the one they thought they wanted. Create a new
Right.
reality, a third reality moving forward so you can move forward together. There will be some people who can't do that or who won't do that. But here's the opportunity to do that. Start talking to each other. Start understanding why you believe what you believe. Start addressing the fundamental underlying reasons for why you think you need to believe that. Because very often the thing you're choosing as a surface reason for believing that can be done in any number of ways, and you can still fulfill your underlying wish, your underlying desire by doing it in ways that are more compatible with one another rather than being so divisive. So now he's asking us, and again, this is another step in the Interstellar Alliance social experiment, to work together and figure out how can we move forward more compatibly even with our differences, because he's saying, it's not that you have differences that's the problem. It's just that you have to make your differences compatible. That's
Hmm.
all you have to do. And the one way to do that is to figure out what's the fundamental underlying reason that you have these differences, because mostly they're all the same for everyone. We want to be heard. We want to be loved. We want to belong. We want to feel that we contribute. All of those things can be done and fulfilled in any number of ways without necessarily believing this political idea or that social idea or that religious idea or what
Hmm.
have you. We have to get back to the basics of why do we believe these things? What are we really trying to fulfill in our lives? And can we do it in a way that's more compatible with one another as opposed to choosing things that just can't be done for one person or another?
There, unless you and I are find some sort of yogic magic, become yogis and can live for another 200 or 300 years, or find enlightenment in one way, shape, or form where we stay alive, or technology gets us around, we're generally not going to be around. You and me are probably not going to be around in the year 2100. Um, where do you see where does your hopes and where do you think humanity will be in the year 2100? Out of curiosity, and has Bashar ever spoken about what the potential of that time period would be for us?
Well, yes, it's the beginning of what he's saying. The evolutionary path for humanity is what he calls evolving into the sixth hybrid race, which is going to expand into the galaxy in a certain way. And we're going to become other civilizations, UFOs, eventually. We're going to
Right.
be that are going to help other civilizations up the ladder in the same way that these civilizations that we're dealing with are helping us up the ladder. So it's really about becoming members of a galactic society, a galactic family. And it's really about letting ourselves change in ways that give us more abilities. The hybrid beings are going to be coming to live among us. The hybrid children are going to be coming to live among us. There will eventually be blending,
Mm-hmm.
and we will be coming, well, as Bashar kind of puts it, we'll actually finally becoming fully human because we're not fully human yet. So he sees that as the true evolutionary result of us opening up to accept more of who and what we are, connecting to our spiritual selves, bringing more of our souls through the physical experience of our lives, through our physical avatars, and really being star beings, really, really owning what and who we are. And that's going to really just change everything on the earth that we decide to go to, if that's the direction we decide to go. Again, there will be those that don't. But for those that do, I think it will be expanding beyond what we can imagine right now, because there are so many things we're just unaware of that are going on out in the cosmos that we can become a part of. We'll have unlimited resources. There will be no lack of anything. The whole science fiction scenario of, aliens coming to Earth to get our minerals and our resources and stuff like that. There are so many things out there. It's so abundant out there. They have no lack of anything, and no lack of an ability to get the resources that they need. They certainly don't need this planet to get that. What they need this planet for and how Earth is so important to them is what's going on the planet. The idea of how we're facing our challenges, how we're transforming things, the different stories that are being played out here, the effect that the conclusion of those stories have on the cosmos. It's our agreement to be the souls that experience these things and finish these stories that is really the important step to all of these alien civilizations. It's our discovery of our self-empowerment through these incredibly limiting challenges. This is why Bashar has for a long time called us the masters of limitation, because for a while we have been the masters of creating limitation. But when he then says, but what you're doing is learning to become the masters of limitation, where you can overcome those limitations, transform those limitations. And this is a challenging school. But the fact that we can overcome the limitations we put on ourselves is something that other civilizations are also learning from. Because if we can overcome these limitations, these incredible dark limitations, negative limitations, fear-based limitations, as deeply as we've created them and still overcome them, well, civilizations that may not be as steeped in those limitations can look at us and go, well, gosh, if they can do it, we can do it because we're not as limited as they are, and yet they can still overcome those limitations. So we're a good lesson for a lot of civilizations that are looking to us to be the ones that show this is how you do it. This is how you lose yourself and find yourself again.
To watch the full video, click on the link below, and don't forget to subscribe.